My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Well, hello there, and welcome to WTA Weekly. And I am joined by a man who is sufficiently caffeinated to do the show. It's Brenna Morton. Brenna, how are you doing?
That's a beautiful way to describe it, Nick. I am great. Good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, no, it's always good having you on. I know you are probably an even bigger WTA fan than I am, so always good to chat that with you. And for those of us like niche WTA fans, like this was a good week because we got some new talent, new team talent to get excited about. Well, not that new. I think maybe one of those names we've been hyped about for a while. The other one, he's made a little bit of waves, but winning title this soon in her career may be a bit of a prize. We'll get to obviously help the bit that everyone is excited for, which is trying to hear us pronounce the Sao Paulo champion's name. But there was a bigger tournament. There was a 500 happening in Guadalajara. And, well, we have a 17-year-old 500 champion, Brenna. Something even Mira Andreeva didn't achieve. It's Eva Jovic, who, we've been hyped about for a while, right?
Yep. She's been on the radar, obviously before even this season, but obviously only 17 years old. I think in her junior days, she was the number one for age 15 and 16 years old. So, yeah, we've been hearing her name quite a bit, but to have a 17-year-old champion at a 500 event is pretty special.
Obviously, second senior title. I don't think she's winning. I don't know. She may have won an ITF or two, but she's obviously won the WTA 125 in Ilkley this year. But 500 is a bit of a step up. I mean, I'm speaking of pronunciation. There seems to be two ways of pronouncing her name. I don't think anyone's fully agreed on what it is. Is it Jovic or Jovic?
I would go with Jovic, but
Jovic. Yeah, because I think she's like her parents are Croatian and Serbian.
Correct.
So, obviously Jovic is probably how the Americans pronounce it, and ignorant Brits. Right. Well, talk to me about it. So, obviously, Jovic, big story in Guadalajara. How impressed are you that she has won this title?
I'm impressed. I think like the first thing that we need to address with her game is obviously I just think the maturity and composure that she possesses at this age. It's really impressive to just see her preparation, attitude, and like you mentioned, just composure. To have all of these traits at this age is quite special, and then to go out and do a great week of tennis is impressive, right? You think about the draw, and of course it's a little bit weaker, and there are some players who opt to go play in Sao Paulo, even some Mexican players, but you have to take what's there, and she did that with flying colors.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw her win the final. I agree with you. Like the finals I've seen her perform in are were impressive. Like she has been composed. I mean, she's won 6-1 sets in both of them. Different reasons, I think. Arango, her opponent, was ill to the point where she was ill on the court. It wasn't necessarily good. It did help Jovic a lot. I don't think I think that's one of the reasons why she had it so easy. But The first set took about an hour to win, or just under an hour to win, because Arango was trying to extend the rallies as much as possible. But you just get the sense that Jovic has got so many weapons, even at 17. And yeah, she makes a lot of errors, and that's down to lack of experience. Her game's probably not refined enough. There does seem to be a sense that, yeah, she is a big hitter, and she has to learn to rein that in a bit, alas, the way Sabalenka has. Otherwise, she's going to end up being more like Alexandrova, who will be hot one week and not so much the next. Not necessarily going down an Ostapenko route, but I will say that when she is composed, she does win, and the weaponry I'm impressed with. So would that be kind of along those same assessment for you, Brenna?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think the backhand is probably the best. I don't know if I would say best weapon, but it's the more impressive shot, I think, to me. I think she said in her past that the backhand down the line is her favorite shot to play. But yeah, I mean, somewhere in the middle there between, composure and controlled aggression. That's probably what she's going to be continuing to work on. But yeah, as Jean mentions, the Jovic backhand is beautiful. And I think another point to mention was I caught bits of the semifinal, actually, where she played Bartnikova. And I think it was 3-all in the second, kind of some tense moments. But she ends up losing that breaker and is forced to play a third, and does a good job regrouping, not getting overly rattled, but had the opportunity to close it out. But then once again, it's about getting to the final, right? You can't control the other side of the court, and Arango obviously does so well in these types of tournaments and these fields. I think in Mexico specifically, I think it was like maybe 17-2 at some point throughout this tournament, her record in Mexico. So you knew it was going to be a tall task, but yeah, like you said, can't control the other side of the net, but she did a good job to prevail in that final.
Yeah, she really did. And also her quarterfinal, which Jean's been telling us about in the chat, that she actually had to save a couple of match points and get the job done against another promising talent, Victoria Kasentseva, who I think is mainly excited because of the country she's from, because she's from Andorra, which is like this tiny country in Europe. And 19 years old, another name that's been mentioned. That's another sign of her composure and her mental resilience to win in those kind of ways. Like we've seen this way, like she's the better in a final. She's she regroups after a tough second set. She has to try to fight from her back against the wall to win against Kasentseva. Like she really, I think she really was out to prove something this week, especially given. I mean, I looked at the way the draw kind of fell out this week, was that like, because there were some top players. We had Elise Mertens playing, Magdalena Frech, Magdalena Net, Elena Ostapenko, all out pretty much within the first round or two. And I looked at the semi-finals that were left, and I was like, I think Iva Jovic is winning this. Iva Jovic is probably winning this. No disrespect to anyone else who was left. Like, Arango, as you say, does well in Mexico and has reached finals there twice now, and I hope she does win a title at some point. It's not like this thing that hangs over her. Then you've got Bartnikova, who I've never heard of before, but made some waves as another team talent. So yeah, lot to be excited about. But yeah, I don't know if you saw the semi-final lineup and had a similar reaction to myself.
Yeah. I mean, another one was Kurmatova, who lost early as well. But and then I guess another name that's worth mentioning is Jacquemot. She showed some she's from France. She showed some. Yes. She showed some good tennis this week. I was impressed. Hadn't watched much of her, so I don't know. I think that's worth keeping in our back pocket. Just tracking her progression, and gave Arango a good fight there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Elsa Jacquemont's got some good moments. In fact, actually, this time of year, generally does seem to be where you get some people like getting some good momentum in their career or ahead of the following year, like getting some breakout moments. Like I think of Linda Kvitova a couple of years ago winning one of the Asian tournaments. You've got Sona Kartal and Rebecca Shramkova winning tournaments around this point last year. Like that's this is where a lot of people are kind of going to be like trying to grab opportunities with both hands.
You're right. And I know it's not necessarily tennis related, but I thought it was a cute little moment after I think it was Jack Mont's win over Tatiana Maria in the presser or in the on-court post-match interview. They were trying to get her to speak English, and she was very honest, saying her English isn't the best. But it was a cute little moment. They ended up bringing out a translator or interpreter to try and kind of assist her with speaking English. So it was a cute little moment. Good job from the WTA.
Yeah, they probably need to have more of those on hand. So we'll see. Maybe Elsa will win a title at the WTA as well. I guess maybe Arango will win one in Colombia or in Mexico, certainly somewhere in altitude. And a few other promising names in there. Stakusic also did well to beat Ostapenko.
That
was a good win for her.
That was an interesting match too, because it felt like Ostapenko wasn't all there mentally, but kind of just hanging with her on serve, and then she does end up taking that second set and a breaker, and you're not sure kind of what Panko you're going to get in the third set, but Stasovic stayed strong and was able to close it out. So another one to monitor.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of interesting things coming out of Guadalajara. It is definitely
Sloane Stephens.
Sorry,
Sloane Stephens
coming
playing
back.
Yeah,
got to the second round.
She played Stefanini, which I saw the first half of the match as it ended up getting delayed to the following evening. But yeah, good to see her back on court. You think about like Camilo Osorio trying to do well in these parts of the world, these smaller events, and ends up going up against the title winner. So kind of unfortunate in the draw there.
Yeah, how much longer do you think Sloane Stephens has got on her career? Because I think a lot of people did think that she'd retired or she was winding down. She was obviously injured, which is why she missed a lot of the summer. And before that, she wasn't necessarily performing anywhere near as well as we know she can. Now she's well outside the top 100. I mean, she's not old by any means. She's like, 32 now? So, yeah, I think it's interesting to see how much longer she goes on for.
Yeah, I have two ways of answering that question. The first one is evaluating how other parts of her life are going. I guess we'll start with the commentary side of it. I think she did really well and got a lot of positive feedback. So that can also be a driving force in the career. Tennis-wise, she got a wild card, and I think she was definitely pushing herself and probably training during that U.S. Open commentary stint as well. Maybe even hitting with some players, but didn't look terrible on court, to be honest. I got to see the first half, like I mentioned. Didn't look terrible on court, but you have to think about the other factors in our life and how that weighs on your decision, and monetarily, but also just from a career perspective.
Yeah, well, we know that she's definitely motivated by money. I do remember her reaction to winning the US Open being, do you remember did you see the size of the check they just gave me? Which, that was a great moment, in my opinion. And certainly she didn't rest on her laurels after winning that US Open either, because she went out, she won Miami and then got to the final of the French. So it wasn't, it was only after that really things started coming apart for her a bit. But
I guess I didn't answer the question, but Nick, I think she'll have to have a true conversation. It was like, how much longer do you think Sloane Stephens will play? That'll be a December maybe decision. I'm sure she'll play a few more events, and if she does make the trip to Asia, She via wild cards. I don't know if it's even worth it, but we'll maybe talk more about that as we evaluate.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what
draw
happens.
this week. And yeah,
I mean, she must feel like that she was semi-competitive this week, though, so that's a good start. It's not like a Halep kind of struggling to be competitive after coming back and just never really getting going. I think it's going to depend on, to me, if she gets injured again. And I think she'd also probably want to do at least one more US Open if she can.
I think another thing worth mentioning, Nick, is Maria Sakkari. I was totally starstruck when I think she was down 4-1 that first set to Jack Mott, and then it might have got suspended, but she goes on to lose 6-2, 6-0. What are we thinking about? Obviously, trajectory is not going her way, but what is the rest of this season look like, and what can she do to change things around?
I think Sakkari's season is going to be is going to be pretty much defined by the rest of it. She's going to be picking up wins and points where she can, and that seems to be the point that she's at in her career. Like, obviously, she had that really good peak in 21, 22. Did finally get a title in 23 at Guadalajara. Her one and only 1,000 title, but I don't know with Sakkari. I think she's always had a ceiling for me, like though against the really, really elite players. And she performed when she saw her opportunity, she took it. But I'm not seeing many more opportunities to kind of make any kind of big time impact coming for her. But I certainly think that she can make herself a solid tennis career from here out on in. I certainly think that she's capable of getting a couple of wins a week again, and making some interesting matches with some top players. But I think it's very clear that what is going on with her isn't necessarily going to be fixed by whichever coach she has. It's all on her, really. And it's where we've always been at with her, right? She always looked like she had an impressive game, but it was the match management on the day that would often let her down. So I don't see that being much different as she scraps away at this level again.
Yeah, no, I agree. Makes sense. And it is on her at this point. And that I think you made a good point about the in-match management, because losing is one thing, 4-3 or whatever, but some of the results, even at the US Open, her loss there was to Beatriz Haddad-Maia, 6-1, 6-2, just very, very far from it. So, and then obviously 6-0, 6-2, I think it was. 6-2, 6-0 it was. Yeah. So something to monitor there.
Yeah. Speaking of Beatriz Haddad-Maia, she was the top seed at Sao Paulo, which is the other event that was happening recently. And I mean, we'll go to the winner in a minute, but whilst we're talking about her, I would imagine that that's got to be a tough result for her, that she was the top seed by quite some margin at a home tournament where, she does have some fans, and Brazilian fans are very passionate about the supporter. And although I can't find a result, I swear she was the top seed at this tournament. I'm sure she was playing.
She was the top seed, so it was a very fitting result. If you're thinking tennis-wise, if you're thinking recency, she ended up losing to Zarazua.
Oh.
7-6, 6-3.
That match must have still taken 3 hours with those two, because
they
both like to drag points out.
Exactly.
The reason why I'm confused was because I swear she was. I was Googling who she lost to because I couldn't remember and I couldn't see it. I was like, where is the result from Sao Paulo?
Yeah. I guess I'll go right to it. You think about that matchup. It is a grinder-esque one. Obviously, Zarazua on one hand is just trying to make life difficult, as she did against Madison Keys, a big ball striker, not giving them much pace to play with. So they're forced to generate, trying to make it as physical as possible. And at that point, Rajaonah, it's a tough ask, because not only are you asking the physical side of things, you're thinking about the consistency, and very, very long points. I think the first set actually lasted 80 minutes. So as Nick said, you're getting a marathon regardless. But the unforced errors just creep in, and it builds, it compiles on itself, right? In terms of the negativity, the body language. She ended up hitting 53 unforced errors. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very indicative where Rajaonah is right now. Let's be honest, because can get some really good results under her belt, get a few wins, but not immune to errors. Which, if she's going to grind the way that she does, she needs to, cutting the errors or minimizing them as much as possible is going to help her, given the game style that she plays with. But still pretty successful overall this season. Just maybe a missed opportunity. I thought Zara Zhu would go on and do something there, to be honest, after that. But ended up losing. Who did she lost to? Was it Tjen or the eventual champion?
The eventual champion.
The eventual champion.
If you want to give that name
We're
a go.
going to get there. Yeah, I think I did catch a little bit of that, actually. Yes. Sarah Rakotomanga Rajaonah is the Sao Paulo Open champion. And yes, I did check the WTA pronunciation before we went live. Sort of French player, 19 years old. She kind of came across my radar at Rouen earlier this year, where she made a bit of a splash there. She got quite deep in the tournament, like at least quarterfinals. She won her first title, lowest ranked WTA champion of the season to date, winning it. Have you watched much of Rakotomanga Rajaonah?
I have not, Nick. What I can tell you though, or just like a little bit about her game. Lefty, good serve, pretty heavy forehand, and possesses a lot of variety off that wing in terms of being willing to go to the drop shot. So I think maybe more of a clay specialist, if I'm correct. Rouen is a clay tournament.
Yeah, indoor clay.
Yep, indoor clay. So that's kind of where she peaks. Is kind of my interpretation of it. But yeah, I mean, able to battle out, but has some weaponry and possesses some variety as well.
Yeah, and you're right. She's definitely entertaining to watch. She makes matches interesting. She makes them a real fight, and I'll be very interested to see as she develops as a player, like how much of a fight she can like who she's going to match up well with on the tour, and who she's going to give us an entertainment with. Is she going to be one of those players that doesn't always match up well with a top player, or is she going to come out there and play an exciting match with a top player, or is she going to be one of those ones that like, hey, it's a first round clash between a couple of people in like the top 50, and but if you watch her, she'll make it an entertaining one. And I think that's the thing that we're still figuring out about her. But winning a WTA title is still a big deal. It's still very hard to do. I don't think she's breaking top 100 yet as a result of this, but she should be soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, and a quick note that many people wouldn't know or wouldn't think of, especially given that she is the champion. But in the first round, she went up against Ana Sofia Sanchez and was down 5-love in the third set, and came all the way back, saving some match points. Just you got to give a little credit where credit's due. Going from that sort of moment and almost like defining it as like, let's go make history and keep battling it out. So just kind of shows you, her mental aspect and the fight she has, the ability that she won't give in, no matter how far away she is from victory.
Yeah, I mean, very few people can say they've come from love 5 down in a deciding set and won the match. So, Yeah, good on her. Like, and it's interesting, like both finalists having to come back, say from pretty dire positions in a match, whether it's match point or 5-love, and playing effectively the matches of their tournaments, and then going on to use their momentum to win it. Same with Rakotomanga, and same with Jovic. So that was that was a good mention there, Brenna. I think I'm glad we talked about that. Yeah. So she's always going to be a fighter, and I think she's kind of sent a signal there that she's not going to be put away easily by the rest of the tour.
100%. I think the match for her to probably talk about would be the semifinal. Obviously, we'll get to the final too, but taking down Zarazua. Obviously, Zarazua playing a very physical game, and obviously a physical prior match, but just given her form, her reputability, and she was one of the players that I mentioned, a Mexican player coming over to Sao Paulo to play in a lesser level tournament in terms of the 250 versus 500, but
yeah,
you would say that the fields are similar. Just interesting talking point. But yeah, she was probably the one to beat after she did take down Rajaonah.
I'm sure that Zarazua must have explained it to someone, because like if I was her and going, well, I've got a home tournament, I can get into it on ranking. Why shouldn't I play it? Because I feel like I've got a good opportunity. But she obviously decided that she had a better opportunity in Sao Paulo, which is interesting to me. But obviously it didn't quite pay off. Maybe but I guess it's like shoulda, woulda, coulda. You just never know with this kind of situation. Yeah. But I guess if Arango got to the final in Guadalajara, then Zarazua, who doesn't play too dissimilarly, would have fancied the chances.
Right. Yeah. But I guess Rakotomanga showing her ability that, that sort of grinder-esque style isn't going to trouble her too much. She has that ability off both wings to attack. She possesses the variety. So she's not flustered by that game style by any means.
She wasn't super flustered in the final either. She won it in straight sets against Janice Tjen, who, I mean, it looked like she might be staging a comeback in the second set because Rakotomanga was 3-love up and then got immediately one of the breaks back because it was a double break 3-love. Tjen came back and just tried to put the pressure on, and Rakotomanga didn't seem to bow to it and just sort of almost got another double break back. And it was, I thought it was pretty impressive how she handled that match, particularly in the second set after being up so convincingly in the first, like 6-3. But yeah, I did actually think Janice Tjen would win that final based on her US Open exploits and doing pretty well there. Second round after qualifying. I thought this was a really good opportunity for her, but certainly she's putting another Asian country on the map with Indonesia now suddenly having a player to root for.
Totally. I'm with you. I thought Janice Tjen would have the upper hand going into the final, but you also have to think about it was new territory for both players in terms of being in a final, and there's definitely nerves on both sides, so that's something to factor. But obviously, having checked that box now, and it's a good mention for you, Nick. It was fun. I did the commentary for Alex Ayala versus Tjen, and that was a meeting of two players from Southeast Asia nations. So it's cool to get new history going and promoting sport in different areas of the world that's maybe not underrepresented, we'll say.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting for the region just to have any country to get a tennis player out there that's in the mix and getting the results. We're seeing this with Coleman Wong in Hong Kong as well. So in the men's side, you've just mentioned Alex Ayala. What did you make of her tournament? Because when I was looking at the entry list, I did think that she was probably up there with Haddad Meyer as one of the favourites. Like I wasn't necessarily handing Haddad Meyer the trophy. I did think she'd have a home advantage, but like I thought Alex Ayala, if they met in the final or something like that, would have given her a good game. But it didn't happen that way. So I guess do you want to talk about how you sort of see Ayala's tournament after this? Like missed opportunity or still good experience gained?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both. Yala started the match really well, went up 3 love, and then Chen was able to level it back on serve 3-all, and that's why I think there is just a little bit of mental fatigue, but mental and physical fatigue, as Yala won the 125K in Guadalajara the week before. So that was like her 8th match in maybe 10 days, 11 days. And the problem for Yala, I think, and this is just a overall theme, is as the match progresses, I feel like players are able to not only build in confidence, but they start understanding the timing a little bit better. And that's just something that y'all can get picked on just because of the weak serve. Think about how weak the second serve is. So you go up against a big forehand like Chen, it starts becoming difficult because you're maybe not even playing points from neutral, maybe even worse, and that's on your serve. But yeah, and I think some doubt is creeping in, and Chen just kept stepping on her, and really just increased the doubt for Yala. But in terms of overall like perspective, you do a good job, and you earn yourself a title, even if it's a 125K, and growing a little bit of confidence, and got a few matches in, got the quarterfinals. Yeah, tough, and arguably could have lost to the eventual champion. So I don't think you're hanging your head too much. It was a good week and a half for Yala. But yeah, it's just a common theme that I'm starting to notice a little bit more is opponents picking up on timing and then making really good use of that.
I feel like Ayala's fans would immediately ask, well, then how do we fix that? Because it's interesting what you're saying about timing. Is it just sort of like, because I would imagine like players no player really varies their timing very much, right? The fix to that is to become completely unpredictable, which comes with its own risks, or find ways to play well despite your opponent figuring you out, essentially. Which this is getting into the realms of things that I don't understand as a fan who's never tried to go pro, who is not better than a beginner, and that's about it in terms of own levels. So I guess it's like, what would be her way around that? Is it just she's got to be quicker, or is it she's got to be more unpredictable, or is it that she's got to be aware that to find ways of changing up her game when her opponent gets used to the timing?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna act like some insane expert because I'm in a similar boat.
Dang it, where's
Yes, I've played some tennis in my time, but nothing similar to this sort of level. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'd say is like not allowing your opponent to gain as much rhythm, because that's kind of like the second part of my thesis with Yala is that yes, her I guess weakness in the serve that allows your opponent to grow with rhythm, timing, confidence. And I do think Yala does a good job of trying to play with much variety, but it's very the hook forehand, that's not too bad. But with Chen, like I thought that would be more of a play because Chen uses the backhand slice super effectively. She's trying to look for as many forehands as she can get, and for Yala, it's not like she was like avoiding that by any means, but she just kind of got overpowered with that forehand once Chen was in the rhythm. So yeah, variety, getting more out of her shots, maybe being a little bit more aggressive, but that's I think as much surface level as we can get into.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Before we move on to kind of other tournaments, actually, do you want to? There was a question I want to come to that's been put in the chat that I really, really like. But I was kind of surprised that Ayala didn't stay in Guadalajara, because I don't know whether it's the same location for the 500. Again, another player was like, actually, that could have been a good opportunity for her. She didn't have to travel. She had some momentum. She could have got into that tournament. There were some big points on offer. Again, I don't obviously scheduling and whatnot, but I did find that interesting. That's what she decided to do.
I thought about that as well. That's a really good point. We'll look into that, but
yeah, Well, maybe we'll find out the
Don't know
answer.
the
Like maybe
answer.
she and
Yeah.
Sarah Rakotomanga talked about it, but like that, yeah, that's two players who probably could have played for Guadalajara that didn't. I'm curious as to why. This is the question. I'm just gonna highlight on the screen because I thought it was a really good one. Ayala, Jovic, Tjen, and Rajaonah, or I think it's Rakotomanga is probably the main surname we'll be using. Who is the biggest upside moving forward? I think that's a good question in the context of what we're discussing here.
It is.
It's
a great question.
immediately know what I'm going to say. I'm going to let you go first, Brenna.
In terms of upside, we're thinking about ceiling, right? So we're thinking about players who have potential to grow within their games, but also like when I think of Jovic, I think very, very high floor, meaning her consistency is something that will, get her a lot of wins. Baseline play, and I guess a little experience at this point, right? Having been a top junior, consistent training and whatnot. She does have room to grow in terms of her weapons. You got two lefties in there, which is a fun, and Rakotomanga and Ayala. It's a fun thing to think about. You're thinking kind of play specialist in a sense. And then Tjen, like I'm leaning Tjen, which is,
Okay.
Yeah, I know, and it might not be like the more popular, but something is telling me like once she figures out this backhand wing, it's problems. Our problem right now is she's looking to hit as many forehands as possible, which is great. That's what a lot of players, especially on the ATP Tour, are looking to do, searching for forehands and using the slice to set it up, which can work well, especially on the clay as well. So I think the reason why I say Tjen is because of that. Once she figures out the backhand wing, I think that will elevate her to a high level.
Isn't that basically what Ash Barty did?
Yeah. You know better than me, Nick.
I mean, Barty was imagine Barty's slice was a bit more of a weapon, but she did slice that backhand a lot and made it useful.
What's your take?
Oh, Eva Jovic.
Yep.
Easy. That's the obvious answer to me. She is the youngest, but she's achieved more at a younger age. I think her floor is higher. I also think she's got a massive upside with the weapons that she's got already as a 17-year-old. She just needs to manage matches better, to not have too many lapses, and to stay in control of it. And I feel like that's going to take more time because Sabalenka didn't really settle with that until she was 25, 26. But that's the one I'm seeing potential in. She's kind of rocketing up. She was competing well with Grand Slam champions. Ayala is a close second, and I would say, like, in terms of what they've achieved already in their careers, Ayala's achievements for me rank higher, even though she's not won a main tour title yet. That Miami run is still super impressive to me. But I think I don't know whether Ayala is going to always be a plucky underdog who will occasionally get strong results and make really interesting matches versus Jovic, who I could see actually winning big matches. Rakotomanga is going to be one of those players who will pop up every now and again and surprise you with a good run. And then Janice Tjen, yeah, I think she's in the mix. I can see her winning being in the mix for some smaller titles and staying well within the top 100 and being consistent presence, depending if she figures things out or not. So that's where I'm kind of going. I'm banking on Eva Jovic at the moment. I'm very excited about her prospects. I think some people are way more excited than me because I keep seeing certain people on the internet predicting it to win Grand Slams already, and I'm like, that's way off. Could happen in the future, but it's not happening for her now. There's a lot of development to go, but I do really like the prospects.
No, 100%. You have to love the prospects, just like her game at 17 and then all that she can add. I mean, it feels inevitable, but yes, we should be seeing, top 20 mainstay for years and even more, top 10. Why not?
Wow. There we go. That's that. Okay. Speaking of top 10, just to confirm, she's got 2 surnames for Ghosty in the chat. It's Rakotomanga Rajaonah, but the commentators have been saying Rakotomanga. I don't know which will be correct. We'll find out in due time. But I think we've got. Let's turn to the WTA tournament happening in Seoul. Yeah, that's the big tournament happening, and we've got one top 10 player taking part. Iga Swiatek, the top seed by not by miles, because she's got a few top 20 opponents in there with Alexandra and Towson playing, who are on the fringes of the top 10. But my question for you, Brenna, is how bothered do you think Iga will be about winning this title? Is she going to be going out here to win it, or is she going to be going out here to get some nice sort of match warm-ups, see a new city, and get some and feel good going into Beijing? Which I don't think she's played at since she won the title here 2 years ago.
Right. That's what I'm looking into a little bit, but I think it's an opportunity for her to get rhythm, adjust to obviously opposite side of the world, just really get her bearings. And we know Iga, she is not someone who's going to overlook her opponents by any means, despite everyone that will do it, maybe even us. But yes, it's not like she's thinking about the final already. She's going to take it match by match, continue to gain rhythm, maybe experiment a little bit with her game here, depending on kind of the matchups and whatnot. But she takes everything seriously, and it's obviously a special opportunity for her to be here. And she is, the type of player that will take it seriously match by match and not, tank by any means.
I know what you mean. Iga's not a kind of player to go into cruise control, really,
right.
Whatever level she plays. But I don't think she's going to be too fussed if she doesn't find her top level here. I'm having a look and seeing, if she went, or if we get Iga on all cylinders, she should win this title. But depends, because I'm looking at her draw. She's got either Zakharova or Kostya in round 1, or in her first match in the last 16. She should win that, whoever it is. Biggest threat for the quarterfinals would be Krejcikova. If Krejcikova can get through Purutsova and then either Cristiano or Raducanu in round 2, which if you get Krejcikova Raducanu, that's going to be a nice blockbuster match for Seoul to promote. Semi-finals, she could potentially be seeded to play Towson, who says the favourite to get out of that section. And then final, potentially, Ekaterina Alexandrova if she gets her act together. But that's, or maybe Deanna Schneider, who kind of likes playing 500s, or Beatrice Haddad-Maia, who is the defending champion. None of those. I think if she gets the final, she'd be the favourite to win it.
Totally. One more thing on Iga. Sorry. It's sort of a special opportunity because her father, I guess, was an Olympic rower.
Oh yes.
So this is
where he narrowly missed out on bronze in the Olympics in the rowing.
Yes. And I guess they're playing at the Olympic venue, so just exciting, family ties and maybe a little bit more of a personal connection for her. That is correct. 88 is what I'm reading on now.
So that makes a lot of sense as to why she's popped up in Seoul. This must be a city that she's wanted to visit, and maybe she's taking the opportunity to.
Yeah. We are already halfway underway.
We are.
Those matches took place last night.
I guess, we've got a few results. So Eva Lees beat Ashton Kruger in straight sets. She's going to play Clara Towson next. Maya Joint saw off Linda Fravitova. She will play Sophia Kenin, who ground out a win against Laura Siegemund. And then Katerina Siniakova is going to play Daria, has won her opening match against Park. She'll be playing Kasatkina. Seidel's got through in 3 sets against Ponchet. She could be playing Haddad Maya in the next round, unless back the wild card from Korea can do something. And then, Lois Boisson is going to play Ekaterina Alexandrova after her win against Ku in the first round. So,
I don't know if you mentioned it, Nick, but I think, looking at the bottom half of the draw, I think we could get another opportunity to, and I hope we do, to see Diana Schneider take on Katerina Alexandrova.
Yeah.
They met just before the U.S. Open, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember where it
Maybe.
was.
That would have to be a semi-final if that happened.
Yes, it would be. You're right. It would be a semifinal. But yeah, I think that's a good clash that I hope we do get, because when we think about these courts, it's usually pretty quick, low bouncing courts in Asia. That's just kind of my general sense, general theme. Would you agree? Think anything different? Yeah. So we think about players who hit, a little bit flatter and are a little bit more aggressive, take the ball early. It would be fun to see a Towson versus Joint clash, but Ava Lease, she's such a fighter. I wouldn't be surprised. And Towson's now had some time to think about her game, the sport as a whole, after losing from 5-1 up in the third against Alex Ayala and U.S. Open round 1.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and on paper, this does look like a Towson tournament. Fast, low bouncing. Yeah.
Totally.
On a hard court, she'd love it. And matches up well against most players in this draw. I think Iga would still give her a headache if they played in the semis, but that's
agreed. Yeah.
I think she and Iga have to be the two favorites for this title.
Totally. And yeah, I mean, you look at the top half of the draw, a bunch of flat hitters. I'm maybe mixing up Kirstea and Christian. One of them has a really good flat backhand, I believe. So
could be either.
I know one of them does. I'm trying to figure out which one it was, though. So yeah, I mean, this is an exciting draw, and as the producer mentioned, Beatrice Haddad Maya is globetrotting. She has made the trip from Sao Paulo, and she'll be taking on a wild card. So it could be intriguing in terms of one, physical, mental travel fatigue, and going into potentially, I wouldn't say hostile crowd, because that's probably not what they are, but a crowd that will be rooting against her.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem for Haddad Maya, though. I think she doesn't seem to mind crowds too much, and I think she'll likely be the better player. I don't too much know about this player. Like, if she's a young talent from Korea, I'll give her a bit more of a shot, but I guess we'll have to see how that one progresses. Thoughts on Emma Raducanu's prospects? Do you think she's got a bit of a toughish draw? She's got Jacqueline Christian round 1. That's a match I could see her losing. Then potentially Barbora Krejcikova round 2. That's going to depend on Krejcikova's fitness level, I think, as to how competitive that is. And if she gets through that, it's probably Iga Swiatek in the quarterfinals, who, I think does have Raducanu's number a little bit. But
Agree. I think it's a jumbled up area. It's a jumbled up little section there, and it'll take a lot to get out. I don't know off the top of my head how Raducanu is done in the Asian swing as a whole, but that's something to think about as well.
Too bad. I mean, I'm looking at this going, should she have pulled out of Billie Jean King Cup for this?
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention, Nick, because I actually, not that I forgot, but just haven't seen too much press, but the Billie Jean King Cup does start tomorrow. I don't know what the time of day it is.
Tomorrow. It says 16th of September on my list, because it starts with Italy against the hosts China, who are without Zhang Qinwen, actually, looking at their lineup. So Wang Xinyu is going to be leading out the draw. But that might swing the tie more in Italy's favour, I would think, because Italy have got Jasmine Paolini in the mix, and they've also got the all-conquering Irani Paolini doubles team. So I think if China beats them, it's going to be because they're super motivated and pumped up by crowd support, which we've seen happen before.
True. Yeah, I was just bringing it up. I didn't know if you had any talking points about the tournament. You wanted to say anything about it. But...
I mean, like, yeah, I'm interested to see. Like, I want to talk about it because I think it's going to be interesting. Like, we can talk about sort of seeing how we think it's going to go. Like,
I have one thing to mention off the top of my
points.
head, though. It would be Paula Badosa
Yes.
status. She is on the roster.
Yeah, she's slated to play Elina Svitolina in a couple of days in the second match. Buzach Minera is going to play Kostyuk, and then you've got Bolser and Buksha playing the Kitchenok sisters in the doubles. That one could go either way, actually, that tie, but that's all going to depend on Badosa's fitness, I think.
Right. So she hasn't played since June 30th, Wimbledon, when she lost to Poulter.
That's not great. She's going to be a bit rusty for that one, and I think Svitolina is not someone you want to play when you're rusty. Okay, Svitolina didn't have a great US Open. That early exit was a bit of a surprise for me.
Right.
But I still think if you're match rusty, Svitolina is just going to wear you down.
Exactly.
So maybe advantage Ukraine in that one. Maybe. I think Buzach Minera will make it interesting against Kostyuk. I know that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the Kazakhstan-US lineup. First of all, US, do you want to talk about how you feel about the US team? Because the US team is stacked. You're throwing all the stops at this one. You've got Pegula, Navarro, and then a doubles team of Kessler and Townsend.
It's pretty good. All right. It's pretty good. I would say I'm happy with it. I think Emma Navarro has had a surprising year for me. She's a player I've been very high on for the last 2 years or so. And that was apparent. Obviously, kind of this US swing wasn't very successful for her. So hopefully she can start gaining some confidence, get some wins under her belt. In terms of the rest of the team, Pegula, obviously, I mean, can't ask for much more. She always loves the US swing, and despite it being a little bit rocky to start, she found herself in yet another final. And final. She was right there. So, I mean, can't ask for much more. But then, yeah, you think about the doubles team. Baptiste, another one who's just been awesome this year, right? Really happy with how she's played. But yeah, Taylor Townsend in the doubles gets an opportunity to, keep showing why she's a top doubles player in the world.
Yeah, huge opportunity. Well, I think this tie with Kazakhstan is going to be very interesting. So this is who they're playing. This is on in 3 days' time. Emma Navarro will open against Yulia Putintseva. I would make Navarro the favourite for that match because Putintseva is not having a great run at the moment. Then you've got probably the match of the event, Elena Rybakina against Jessica Pegula. That's top 10 clash. You're going to want to watch that.
Totally.
That's super exciting. That one, I don't know which way that's going to go. I would lean Rybakina I feel like she's got a bit more, like Pegula outside the US is a bit patchy. Rybakina seems to be good everywhere at the moment. Solid anyway. And then the doubles is Danilula and Columbia against Kessler and Townsend. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, I think. It's going to be a really closely matched tie. I'm leaning the US for this one, though. I think they'll nick it on the doubles.
I like that call. Totally a fun one between Pegula and Rybakina. Think about the conditions probably being, perfect for both of them. But yeah, you think about just the outside the US sort of bias and, mental, physical, maybe a little bit of a hangover there. But it's always No, I wouldn't say always, because I look at the U.S. men's team and there wasn't much buzz going on, especially given their mental and physical statuses. But hopefully, when you're around, your peers and you're in a team environment, you find energy in different ways, and they can get each other going for that one.
Yeah, and I think the US do team spirit very well, particularly on the women's side. So that's a good opportunity there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, why are we talking about Pegula winning a slam? Like,
do you think it was Pegula's last big shot at winning a slam? I think it's a fair question, but
like, no, I'm gonna say no.
I like that call.
I'm going to say no. I think she's got one more US Open run in her. And if she didn't, I think US Open 2024 was a better opportunity for her than 2025.
Agreed.
Did better, although she got pretty close, but I don't know how that final when Samova would have gone had she got there. So
yeah.
That's fine. Right, we've got ATP Weekly in an hour, by the way, so we probably need to wrap up shortly to give the producer a break. Just want to talk about Japan against GB, because that's the last quarterfinal, and obviously being British, I do want to mention it. That one literally could go either way. I know I've said that about pretty much every tie, like Spain, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, US. Like any of these quarterfinals could go either way. But this is the one that feels like a genuine coin flip, because it's Shibahara against Fran Jones, Uchijima against Katie Bolter, and then Ayoma and Hozumi against Barrage and Cartel. Like, genuinely couldn't call any of those matches, any of them. And I think that's the beauty of that one, because there's no real like big names in it. I think if you maybe pick one, I would go for GB, because they do tend to lock down and kind of clutch out victories in Billie Jean King Cup, especially at this stage. But that would be the only basis I would go with that. What about you?
I'd agree, Nick. I would say I think obviously Bolter hasn't been awesome as of, I guess, this summer. But I just think these team events, and I agree with you in terms of Great Britain, they're finding a way to gut it out. And Fran Jones, continuing to make waves, I think it's a great opportunity for her.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. In that one, yeah. I think Fran Jones also starting to get some good run of matches together, pushing towards that top 100 point. Yeah, I like her chance of winning her rubber. So I guess we'll see. I guess I'm kind of doing predictions here because I want to do it, because I like doing Billie Jean King Cup predictions. I think it's fun. You're allowed to tell me if it's not and it's boring.
I like the team events. I think it's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think putting it at this point in the season actually means the top players are doing it now. Like, okay, they've lost Raducanu and Osaka, but I'm not seeing anyone else. Like, they're still feeling some strong teams for it, and I think it being a key warm-up for the Asian swing is a smart move.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun event. I'm going to really enjoy kind of following it. That GB Japan match, by the way, if British fans are watching, is on that one's going to be on the 18th as well. So what do we on Monday to Thursday? Semi-finals. Based on my predictions, I'm going for Italy, Ukraine, and then US GB. I'm going to just do the second one. I'm going to immediately capitulate the win to you, Brenner. Congratulations on winning the Virtual Whitening Cup. Just in advance. I don't fancy GB's chance against either Kazakhstan or the US, or Japan if they end up winning it for that matter. But I think the US team, okay, they may have underperformed last year, but they should be good enough to make the final.
I like it. I like it.
Like it? I mean, is
Yeah.
that... I'm
Is that
flattering you, of
realistic?
course,
Yeah.
an American.
Yeah, you are. You are. You know, I have my doubts, my bias bouts. But I mean, we're looking at a lot of matches that are tight to call, so I don't think it would be wrong to have a different prediction. But yeah, I do like US just having the most firepower and, you know, players who have experience and ability to adapt. So that's my take.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the US would probably be the favourite in the final against whoever they played. I mean, I genuinely couldn't call it. If it's Italy-Ukraine, I genuinely can't call it. Italy's defending champion. Ukraine, I think, have a really strong team. And I'm looking at the matchups and how much Svitolina bothers Paolini. I might edge towards Ukraine, but I think that could be a real block between them.
I edge to Ukraine there.
Yeah. So a US-Ukraine Billie Jean Cup final could be quite an emotional one. Hard to call which one. I think that final would actually be quite hard to call because you could end up with Kostyuk Navarro and Pegula Svitolina. And I'll be like, yes, please, for all of those matches. And then the doubles teams will be really, really strong as well.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I was right to look forward to doing this episode with you, Brenna. As always, good to talk women's tennis with you. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Appreciate it, Nick. A lot of fun and looking forward to the tennis this week.
Yeah, me too. So, all right. Well, I've got a lot to look forward to. Like doing this episode, going, oh, good grief. Like, I'm probably more excited for Billie Jean Cup than I am for Seoul. But we'll see. I think there'll be interesting points to watch from all of them. And yeah, I hope everyone watching is looking forward to it. We will be back next week to pick apart all the results from Seoul and from Billie Jean Cup and look forward to Beijing, which will start soon. So thanks everyone for watching. Go get yourself a beer and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.